The Top 10 Secrets of Stellar Blade's Nanosuits. I promise to you that this list will include nuggets of lore and information about Eve, the Nanosuits, and the overall Stellar Blade universe that will get juicier and juicier as we ascend upward from number 10 to number 1. And I guarantee even the most grizzled Stellar Blade fan will learn something new from this top 10. So if you're completely green to Stellar Blade lore, or if you're the most polished fan of Eve and the Nanosuits, I welcome you here. This is the top 10 secrets of lore related to the Nanosuits. Let's go. Number 10. Nanosuit Materials. When Mothersphere replaced organic human beings with her android race, she had a blank slate to play with. However, she was still bound with creating things for and serving the future of mankind.
I serve the future of mankind, though whether that future would embrace me, I cannot say.
Although her android race were not actual organic humans, and instead individual artificial intelligences akin to AGIs, her programming bound her to creating what would better a human way of life. This is why she continues to serve her andro Eidos by creating human-based items that belong in human societies. But after the reclassification, now that she had secured an upgraded platform to create for, the android Bodyframe, free from disease and aging, what she created for them were upgrades in their own rights as well. We see utopian cities she created for them, two being Eidos 7 and 9, full of rich architecture, beautiful artwork, and dazzling technology. Power sources such as the Infinity Cell and its predecessors, and of course, clothing for her android race to wear, the dozens of nanosuits that we see donned by Eve and her compatriots. Clothing and overall fashion was given a massive upgrade. Traditional textiles, cloth, cotton, buttons, etc. were moved away from, and designers in Mothersphere's new utopian society moved towards a combination of two substances: polymer materials and nano-elements. Eidos Company created the polymer materials. These materials could be printed and were used in nearly every field across Mothersphere's upgraded society. They were printed to create items used in the military, medical, everyday household, and of course the fashion/textile fields. The form factor of the polymer materials were exact. When worn by the andro Eidos humans, the material became a literal part of their body. This was possible because the materials were able to fuse and adapt to the body frame, becoming a solution that provided both function and form. Function in that the materials synchronized with the body frame down to the particle. If a wearer of the material became cold, the materials would heat up. If the individual fell, the materials would harden to protect the body frame. And if they started to bleed, the materials could apply pressure to a wound and stop the loss of blood. The materials could basically do anything, but to achieve this, they needed to be programmed and receive signals from somewhere. This is where the second combined material of the nanosuits comes in, the nano-elements. These were created by Tetrastar, and we see the importance of Tetrastar's lead nanosuit designer, Galaxy Alan, come into play. The design procedure of the past with traditional textiles was gone. Designers no longer drew out designs, cut fabric, or sewed outfits together. Now, the design of nanosuits was achieved by programming and sending signals to the polymer materials via the nano-elements. It appears that nobody in Mothersphere's new society understood how nano-elements were actually produced. They are the end result of semiconductors moving towards singularity and resulting in the quantum nerve. The nano-elements or quantum nerves became known as a dream element for electrical engineers to use. Nobody knew how these elements were created, but due to their universal applications, andro Eidos humans could design with them in multiple fields. TetraStar's Galaxy Alan, the lead designer for the plethora of nanosuits we see in the game, and other designers such as his replacement, Kitsune Maria, whose debut nanosuits were the Wave Diver Bikini and Wave Oblique Monokini swimsuits, used the nano-elements/quantum nerves to program the look and how the nanosuits moves with the body frame. For example, some suits, such as the cybernetic bondage outfit, reveal that the quantum nerves move freely with the body frame via a link it creates, revealing that the linings, strings, and knots of such outfits as this one are able to move with the body frame as it moves. This tells us why outfits such as this one always fits perfectly to ease body frame while in combat, and how the polymer materials of the nanosuits seem to be defying gravity with nothing of the body ever slipping out. As the body frame moves, the nanosuit moves with it. They become one with the body frame. The nanosuits are made of this miracle-like combination of materials, polymer printed out from design patterns, and then infused with electrical signals running through them from the nano-elements and quantum nerves programmed by TetraStar's designers. Number 9. Galaxy Out, Kitsune In. The Orca Engineer and Wasteland Wanderer reveal that some of the nanosuits were designed during a time when the Naytiba were on Earth. Both nanosuits' item descriptions warn the wearer against any run-ins with Naytiba, meaning Galaxy Alan, who designed these suits, was still alive at this point in time. In the Neuralink skin outfit's description, we learn of the behind-the-scenes drama between Galaxy Alan and TetraStar's chairman, Lee Min-chul. Lee Min-chul had a disdain for Alan and labeled him a quote-unquote weirdo. This eventually led to him kicking Galaxy Alan out of TetraStar. Given that we know Alan was still designing nanosuits when Naytiba were on Earth, all of this drama most likely occurred during the early portion of the Final War. During the Final War, the Android Society eventually got to a point where the day-to-day events of everyday life ceased. It is stated in this gear description that Mothersphere seized control of most of humanity's infrastructure to produce weapons and supplies for her human race to battle the Naytiba. So all of the TetraStar drama with Alan being ousted had to have occurred before society stopped functioning, before Mothersphere commandeered all of the factories, production, and other infrastructure of Earth. Therefore, based on my deductions of the two aforementioned nanosuits referencing Naytiba, as well as the TetraStar drama needing to fall into a time prior to Mothersphere taking over all factories and infrastructure on Earth, we can say with confidence that Galaxy Alan left the company during the early stages of the Final War. At this time, he was probably upset at losing his job, but in greater lament over the fact that the world was in the middle of a full-on war. Naytiba were spreading across and consuming all life on Earth. The Andro 8's humans would not have been enticed or even cared one bit about fashion or his nanosuits anymore. The Final War created a dire outlook for the Andro 8's humans. Galaxy Alan, realizing the world was coming to an end, and in it, nobody cared about fashion or his nanosuits anymore, was where his true lament derived from. And with humanity's inevitable loss encroaching due to their crushing defeat after defeat at the hands of the Naytiba during the Final War, Alan could have seen where the world was headed. All would be lost, his nanosuits included, his fame and his wealth as well. But he had lived as the legendary Galaxy Alan, and he died with no regrets. We were given the Wave Oblique Monokini and Wave Diver Bikini during the summer of 2024, a few months after Stellar Blade's release. With it, we were presented with additional lore on the state of things after Galaxy Alan left TetraStar. It's unclear when, but the vacancy was filled by new lead designer Kitsune Maria. Kitsune is a Japanese fox spirit. Think the Pokemon Ninetales. The description of the Monokini states the nanosuit as being an outfit she released with her debut as lead designer. It further describes her continuation at TetraStar, leading to the company's new and unstoppable brand, a turn away from what Galaxy Alan produced before, and now something new. This marked the beginning of her unstoppable ascent. Does this ascension go so far as meaning she literally ascended up the orbit elevator and was successfully evacuated to the colony? I would hope so, as this would be the in-game universe explanation for us to receive new nanosuits in the game's sequel. Kitsune Maria sitting somewhere within the colony, creating the wealth of new nanosuits we're going to get in Stellar Blade 2. I cannot wait. Number 8. Motivation for the Angels. Each wave of diving suits is blessed with a message from Mothersphere. A short motivational statement aimed directly at the angels. All messages from Mothersphere open with her addressing them. She calls them her children. Even though the members of the Airborne Squadron are considered weapons, given incomplete knowledge of the history of their existence and considered disposable when they dive to Earth and battle the Naytiba, the Angels, hyper-advanced variants of the Andro-Eidos race, replaced real organic human beings and therefore still function as humans. The metaphorical curtain that Mothersphere has draped over the eyes of the Andro-Eidos race is the facade that androids were and always have been organic humans. That through the body cell and other advancements in technology, the biological human species has evolved to a point to achieve human-machine singularity. But remember, this is a lie. And to maintain this lie, Mothersphere implements a number of tactics: indoctrination, installation of religious fervor, deception, and more. It's unclear exactly what the artificial intelligent minds of the Andro-Eidos is and how it functions, but because the Andro-Eidos race were used by Mothersphere as the replacement to organic human beings, we have to assume the Andro-Eidos human minds function in a similar way. They require the same things as organic human minds to function in a healthy way. They need stimulation, love, encouragement, a feeling of safety. The human mind, whether it be a true organic one or a created artificial one, needs certain things to carry on a human way of life. Consider Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There are basic needs that a healthy functioning human must have. Physiological needs such as food, warmth, and water. Then there are safety needs, such as security and having the ability to know what to do when danger arises. Every angel has these. You can see how the angels get their basic needs met at the campsites. There's food stewing, probably some kimchi jjigae, energy sources from the selenium vending machine, warmth provided via a sleeping bag, and there's even a means to feel more safe with the ability to upgrade and refine the angels' weaponry. But how would Mothersphere provide needs belonging to the next tier up of Maslow's pyramid? Belongingness, kinship, and feelings of prestige or accomplishment. These psychological needs are harder to instill, but Mothersphere flourished in this capacity. To give them these needs, to make her weapons follow her orders unquestionably to a T.
We've always followed the instructions of Mothersphere to the letter. She was our guiding light, our salvation, our God.
She would appear to them as their guiding mother. Her name already made that easy to accomplish, but she would provide them with a message seemingly produced from somewhere divine. The stars where Mothersphere has installed herself, somewhere high above Earth, even higher above the colony, to remind them of her feigned grace and love before their dive to Earth. She would never tell her airborne squadrons they were weapons. Instead, she would layer the next part of her message with human emotions, encouraging them to feel these emotions as they fight the Naytiba on Earth. Be proud. Feel the passion in your heart. Become a shield of trust. Achieve an indomitable spirit, and be a beacon of hope. And finally, Mothersphere would instill within her weapons a reminder that everything they do is for the future of mankind. In each wave's message, Mothersphere's last statement guides the angels to remember why they are fighting. Mothersphere calculates the survival rate of the angels are extremely low. In fact, it is assumed they will die, be slaughtered and disposed of by the Naytiba. The only factor she cares about is the survival of the designated Eve of each wave, one member, one Eve, to carry out the Eve protocol. To ensure the others, the ones she doesn't truly care for, the ones she views as disposable, continue to fight, her final sentence of her message revolves around keeping them forward moving, to trick them into thinking that they actually can influence the future. And of course, Mothersphere would never let them achieve self-actualization, but instead deceives them into making the ultimate and inevitable decision that all angels must make, to give their lives so that others in the colony and their god, Mother Sphere herself, may live on, so that a future for the humanity the airborne squad members believe they are fighting for can persist. Number 7. Symbolism, Imagery, and Messages. Similar to the motivational text in the diving suit's item descriptions, the symbolism, imagery, and messages printed on the nanosuits too derive from a place of motivation and encouragement directed at the angels to help them succeed on their dives to Earth. Wave 3's diving suits include a black figure holding a large blade. My interpretation of this symbol is that it represents an angel of death. In one of the journal entries picked up in Abyss Levoir, from whom I'm assuming was written by Rafi, it describes the androids raining down on Earth, Wave 1 of Mother Sphere's airborne squadron, as angels of death. After Wave 1 assaulted Abyss Levoir, the facility was destroyed from the Naytiba outbreak. All that remained were scattered Naytiba and the destroyed Levoir. There would be innumerable sources of information and research on the Naytiba, specifically the evolutionary process they underwent. Mother Sphere would have had access to all of the files at Abyss, including the correspondences between Rafi and her father, Raphael Marx. This journal entry would have been one of them. Perhaps she includes an Angel of Death figure on Wave 3 of the airborne squadron as a sick joke, taking a moniker given by her enemy, an Angel of Death, to use against them, that she features when designing her future waves of angels after Wave 1. There is also a blade and skull. The skull is seen again on version 3 of Wave 6's diving suit, the white one. I believe the skull seen here represents being a badass in general, something used to show power and dominance, a symbol that has been used throughout history in other ways. It has been the emblem of pirates throughout history, the logo of a real-world football team, and even used by a beloved coming-of-age movie in The Goonies. On the back of the bomber jacket, the word dauntless means fearless and determination, something that describes the traits of an airborne squad member. And on the second version of the third wave's prototype variant, next to the Orca label, is the word levin. This is an archaic term for lightning, a tieback to Wave 7's green diving suit, where Eve is imprinted with the term devastating like lightning. This is a reference to her beta skills, in that they are both incredibly swift and pack a devastating punch. On Wave 6's planet diving suit, we see the phrase, "Fight and win for mankind and the Earth," printed on Eve's left butt cheek. And then on the white variant, there is another black skull, similarly in the same location. The diving suits, as well as the black and white full dresses, seem to be the only outfits Eve wears that are not designed by Tetrastar. We have to assume that Mother Sphere is the one who designs and creates the diving suits within the colony. Their imagery and text serve as just another way she controls her advanced weapons, gaining devout commitment from the airborne squad members to do her bidding. Number 6. Plugsuits. Nothing but a plugsuit was a statement thrown at the Neuralink suit upon its release. It was dismissed as not being up to par with Galaxy Allen's creative works prior. It seems to have been created during the interim between Galaxy Allen's departure and Kitsune Maria's arrival, when there was no lead designer. As the Neuralink suit's description states upon its release, there was a clamor for Tetrastar to reinstate Allen's creative vision. To understand the term "nothing but a plug suit," it's best to look at one of the collectible series of Stellar Blade. The Plastic Hearts series tells of a twisted love story between two individuals, Athena and Pallas. There is a back and forth between the two that seems to tell of verbal foreplay that would eventually lead to intercourse between two Andro Eidos individuals. I'm a little unsure if all of this is occurring in the physical, tangible world, or if this is a conversation between two pieces of code occurring in cyberspace. It's a little hard to tell, but because of some of the dialogue that speaks of physical things, like a body frame's physical components, I'm going to assume it's occurring in real physical space between two Andro Eidos humans. There is talk of appreciating the other's body frame, specifically of Athena talking about Pallas's slenderness. Having a small body cell and a lithe alloy frame is something Athena perceives as beautiful. Then the conversation moves on to talking about the plug. In Volume 3, Athena asks in a seemingly nervous tone, "Should I lick the plug?" Pallas responds by calling Athena sinful for this statement, but revels in hearing her partner ask her that, of potentially having her plug licked. Through this, we come to understand that an android's private parts are referred to as plugs. With this understanding, we can interpret the phrase, "nothing but a plug suit," with a little more clarity. It is a statement of dismissal. Calling the nanosuit a plug suit means it has been interpreted as a design simply meant to show off the privates of an Andro Eidos, essentially their TNA. I think it's beautiful that so much thought was given by Kim Hyung-tae and the team to this part of the Andro Eidos culture. Sex, intimacy, and all of the feelings that go along with such actions are such a huge part of real human culture. So it shouldn't be something that was ignored by Mothersphere when she recalibrated who she wanted to be the inheritors of the title of humanity. Additionally, understanding and using the term plugsuit further adds to the nuances that exist within the Andro Eidos human culture of fashion and design. Tetrastar, particularly their fashion division, was of significance within their society, and this further adds to the understanding of Galaxy Alan's status. Unlike his final statement in Galaxy Alan's Lament, he was appreciated, and when he was removed as Tetrastar's lead designer, his creative vision was missed. What society was given as a replacement to what Alan created, the Ubiquitous collection, the collection that the Neuralink suit belonged to, was a failure. Society that once appreciated Galaxy Alan's creations bit back against Tetrastar, and the term "nothing but a plug suit" was born. Number 5. French and Latin tastes. On the back of the coat of the cyber magician Nanosuit is the phrase "Les roses noires sont éternelles." This is French for "black roses are forever," a very fitting term for the all-black outfit. And overall, the Nanosuit's black coat does have a French-inspired look to it, in particular the golden trim, very Expedition 33-like. The punk-style Nanosuit has the word "impavidus" written across the tank top and along the back of the jacket. Impavidus is Latin for fearless. Then Latin appears again, this time written in my favorite location of one of my top-tier Nanosuits, on the choker of the black and angelic rose Nanosuits. The phrase written in Latin is "Cruere quasi damula de manos quasi avis de insidis occupus." I'm not 100% sure on the translation of this one, but it roughly could mean "be like a lady of man's hands, as a bird of snares." I played with the translator by moving around some of the words, but this is the best translation I could come up with. If anyone speaks Latin out there, I'd love to know exactly what this means, or if anyone interprets this phrase in another way. So if you're out there, any Latin speakers, please leave a comment on what the phrase on Eve's choker actually means. Thanks. Number 4. The Bodyframe revealed. A big part of the hype train leading up to Stellar Blade's release in spring of 2024 consisted of the discussion about whether or not Eve was human. Because of Mothersphere's reclassification of who humans were, there was a time when both real organic humans and the android race of Andro Eidos, technically, both held the title of humanity. Within Stellar Blade's lore, both were considered human at one point in history. Therefore, when Kim Hyung-tae was asked in one of his pre-launch interviews whether or not Eve was human, and then gave the answer that yes, Eve is human, we all assumed this meant she was real organic human flesh and blood. However, he was being coy. In his mind, because he of course knew the story of Stellar Blade, he was technically not lying by saying that Eve, a hyper-advanced android body, was human, because of Mothersphere's reclassification. But we all knew none of this, and as we continued to watch the pre-launch content, Sony's state of play, the quick trailers, gameplay clips, and character highlights, most of us simply believed the game's director. If he said she's human, then yeah, she's human. However, there still were plenty of us that knew something was off. If she was human, how then is she existing in space without a spacesuit seemingly unfazed? The clip of Eve floating in low orbit above Earth gazing at the Demogorgon was released well before launch, so this was the prominent argument that something was not right. She was most likely in fact not human. And when we started looking elsewhere at the Nanosuits, there seemed to be more signs signaling that Eve was of more mechanical nature, something that would be considered to be an android. In Sony's State of Play trailer, there was a clip of Eve in the cybernetic suit. In this suit, one of the arms is clearly robotic, although it could be argued that one robotic arm does not make the entire individual a machine or android. Just look at Halo Reach's cat and her very cool mechanical arm. It was a clue that Eve could in fact be not human. And then once the game was released and gamers started unlocking all of the nanosuits, paired with the revelation that Eve and company were replacements for real organic humans, the android race known as Androidos.
They created us, the Androidos, through Mother Sphere, and for a time we lived in a kind of symbiosis with them.
Then... we're androids. We were created.
We understood Kim Hyung-tae's statement all the way back prior during the pre-launch period of the game for what it was. Simply a tricky statement he made to keep us engaged and curious about his lead protagonist. But now at least it was clear, Eve is an android. With all of the nanosuits unlocked and the eventual addition of photo mode, it became an incredibly fun task at finding all of the more mechanical components littered across the dozens of nanosuits that add to the understanding of Eve as an android. The Daily Biker's footwear included the same design as the Albatross aircraft seen during the Return to Colony ending. Do the shoes of this nanosuit actually provide propulsion in the same manner as the Albatross aircraft? Meaning, when swinging a violent kick at a Naytiba, do the shoes' propulsion design protruding from the heel provide a boost in velocity? In my head, I say yes. In some nanosuits, Eve's hand has a machine-like appearance. The second wave's planet diving suit shows Eve with mechanical hands, similar to that of Taki's. And the side of Eve, while wearing the Daily and 4 Seconds denim nanosuits, shows her with a torso that seems similar to that of an aircraft's wings. Because this is Eve's torso, contracting and expanding would be normal, so the components of these nanosuits would shift in and out, similar to that of how an airplane's wing expands and contracts during takeoff and landing. And finally, there are the different joints. The aforementioned cybernetic suit and dress includes multiple ball-bearing type of joints seen in Eve's elbows, wrists, knees, and ankles. The Peony and Hydrangea outfits reveal a different joint system, something similar to pistons or hydraulics that fire, resulting in the Androidos humans' mobility. The level of detail in Eve's body frame design is both magnificent in its aesthetics and in how it adds to the scope of the actual functionality of how an Androidos body frame moves in physical space. Number 3. Censorship. It's hard to talk about Stellar Blade's nanosuits without acknowledging what objectively happened with the lead-up to release. As Stellar Blade neared its release, it appears that PlayStation took a finer look at all of the nanosuits and got spooked with the high level of sex appeal exuding from 2 specific ones. They got shook at what this might mean if the game was released and these 2 suits remained as is, so it seems they made the studio change the outfits. PlayStation, more specifically Sony, were the ones backing Shift Up, so they got to make the final call. The 2 outfits in question were the Cybernetic Bondage and the Holiday Rabbit nanosuits. They each had a particularly revealing chest area. With the Cybernetic Bondage outfit, this is how it looked prior to launch, seen here in the State of Play trailer, where nothing is in front of Eve's chest. Then seen here after launch with a piece of fabric that was now introduced to obscure Eve's breasts. And then with the Holiday Rabbit nanosuit, you can clearly see something similar was done with the before and after picture. Some gamers were outraged when this happened and demanded a refund, claiming false advertisement. There was a bit of a campaign for more fans to demand refunds, but although it got some traction, it didn't catch fire. In hindsight, and through piecing together the events surrounding the Censorship event, it seems that Sony forced Shift Up to change these 2 outfits. Some people still blame Kim Hyung-tae for this, but I really don't see how that's justified. Prior to launch, Shift Up was not a proven AAA studio, and they therefore had to bend the knee. In fact, it was Sony who gave Shift Up the last bit of financial backing to complete and get the game out. This is why Stellar Blade is a PlayStation exclusive. So at that point in time, Shift Up had to listen to Sony's demands. But upon the game's release, through what I'm guessing is a combination of the game's success and the fan backlash against the censoring, somehow Sony relented and Shift Up was allowed to make things right through patch 1.003. In this update, 5 new nanosuits were added, two of which were variants of the cybernetic bondage and holiday rabbit suit. In both new variants, the fabric in front of Eve's breasts that was there in the original nanosuits was now absent. It's my understanding that no statement was given by ShiftUp with regards to essentially giving us a now uncensored version of the original nanosuits that were censored at launch. However, there is some intelligently written language in the Midsummer Red Hood nanosuit, the variant to the Holiday Rabbit, that could be interpreted as a jab taken at Sony by ShiftUp. I could be reaching here, but let's take a look at the item description. It states, "Where even the big bad wolf can't bother Red Hood's summer escape." Now, I know the nanosuit has a red hood, which is a clear reference to Eve being Little Red Riding Hood. However, the quote-unquote big bad wolf could be interpreted as being Sony, or just gaming publishers and people that want to censor game developers in general. And by using the word escape, this could be ShiftUp referencing their escape from the censorship, and being able to provide gamers this new uncensored variant. Again, this could be a reach, but given what occurred and the exact wording in the Midsummer Red Hood's description, this is how I'm interpreting all of this. Regardless of everything that happened, I'm happy with the end result. More nanosuits showing off the full orbit of Eve's awesome assets. Number 2, function over form. Several nanosuits provide the Andro 8os human a certain ability when worn. We have to recall that while the polymer materials are the actual makeup of the suits, the form, if you will, it's the nano-elements that when programmed with code provide the suit a functionality. The Extreme Nano-Element consumable states that Tetrastar produced this material. It was also known as the quantum nerve. Electrical engineers could basically design anything they could think of, calling the material omnipotent. So the creativity of the engineers became the only limit to what could be created. Here are a few examples of what was created in Mothersphere's society. The junk mechanic and junk engineer were a response to the idea of an Andro 8os having a right to repair things on their own. The term right to repair seems to be part of Tetrastar's marketing to promote this idea. Being that they produced everything from processors to memories themselves, an Andro 8os human's right to repair their own Tetrastar goods was seen as necessary, and the junk mechanic and engineer outfits were how they provided the mass market the ability to do this. Engineers programmed the nano-elements of the suit to make it so that while wearing these two nanosuits, the wearer was able to access Tetrastar's repair guides of any of their products. Say you were a mechanical engineer working on the electronics for a city's monorail system, and you needed to fix a component. Simply don the junk mechanic or engineer nanosuit, and you could access the manual for that Tetrastar component of the monorail system. We're not given information on how this actually works, but I can imagine a digital manual popping up in an Andro 8os human's field of view, something like a guide appearing in a heads-up display. Or maybe the heater in your home was out. Put on this nanosuit and you could fix the heater yourself because it's your right to be able to repair things yourself. This is the right to repair. Hey, be a slave to Mothersphere and have your mind wiped whenever she deems necessary in her utopian society. But at least you can be your own handyman or handywoman when you put on one of these nanosuits. No more spending countless hours watching how-to YouTube videos trying to learn how to fix things around the house. Then there's the cybernetic suit and dress. The description simply states they were a wearable device inspired by the convergence of the future, so it's unknown what these nanosuits actually allow the wearer to accomplish. The Neuralink suit, part of the Ubiquitous collection, provides the wearer the ability to connect to and control any nearby device, earning it the alternative alias, a pilot suit. Does piloting other nearby devices look like how we use smartphones to control paired smart devices in our homes? Turning off the lights of a home and locking the door in Mothersphere's society would then have no longer required a smartphone. By putting on the Neuralink nanosuit, the Andro 8os human becomes the smartphone. How many things could a pilot suit control at once? Perhaps an Andro 8os human is only limited by their own capacity and ability as a pilot. It must have been fun to see this occurring in a household. Devices and things being controlled all simultaneously by one single Andro 8os human simply by wearing this nanosuit. The Orca Exploration and Pathfinder suits served as an undergarment when wearing a spacesuit, I thought Andro 8's humans could breathe and exist in outer space. Wasn't that part of what Mother Sphere claimed in her propaganda audio recording heard in the Hall of Memories?
This created giant leaps forward in the development of hazardous industrial spaces and space itself. We can now withstand the crushing pressures of the deepest oceans and even exit a space station without the need of a spacesuit.
Well, I guess they actually use spacesuits similar to what organic humans did. We never got to see what a spacesuit looks like, but I can imagine it would be something more form-fitting and less bulky of today's real-world design. At least we got to see what was meant to wear underneath with the TetraStar Orca collaboration in the Exploration and Pathfinder nanosuits. And finally, we end with something a little more fun and playful, with the Cyber Magician and Trickster nanosuits. The Cyber Magician description states the suit features micro-stealth drivers in each wrist so that the wearer can perform magic tricks. Sleight of hand never got easier to do when wearing this nanosuit. The description has a funny line about the obvious intention some individuals might have of stealing things via the micro-stealth drivers, informing us theft most certainly occurred by individuals that donned the Cyber Magician and Trickster nanosuits. Number 1. A good high. A handful of the nanosuits provide the wearer various highs through code programmed into the nano-elements. Part of the Exotic Sense collection are the Racer and Speeder High nanosuits. Their nanosuit description differs a bit, so I'll jump into the Red Racer's High first. Built into the design of the suit is a loaded system of code that works maliciously, akin to an electronic drug which boosts the wearer's speed, hence the name Racer's High. I love that the description said it is a malicious code, drawing parallels to real-world drugs, that they are malicious, bad for you, but they do provide you an addictive high. The high the Andro 8's human achieves is a direct boost in speed. Therefore, if the wearer is an advanced Andro 8, such as an angel, they would move at even greater speeds, something like the overdrive burst skill. But we don't actually see this gameplay-wise. This is just simply lore information. Kim Hyung-tae stated that he did not want the nanosuits to provide a specific skill or gameplay perk because he wanted them to be more about aesthetics, to allow players to don the suit they liked based on appearance only. If certain nanosuits provided an edge in combat, then players might favor one suit specifically for that boost. If this were the case, this would deter the Stellar Blade community in developing diverse preferences on nanosuits. So this is why none of the nanosuits provide a gameplay benefit, making the nanosuits we pick based purely on aesthetic appeal that we as the gamer favor. This is why nanosuits such as the Racer's High that describe having a boost in ability, in this case speed, don't actually show that result in gameplay. Okay, let's take a look at the new Gameplay Plus variant of this suit, the Speeder's High, in what I think is much more intriguing in terms of its nanosuit description. Similar to the Red Racer's High, the Golden variant has a coded system that can be injected into the Andro 8's body frame. This one is called the Speed Star system. One might assume this is similar to the Racer's High in that it too provides the same burst in speed. While the Racer's High explicitly stated this in the nanosuit's description, the Speeder's High does not, and leaves a little bit more open to interpretation. The Speeder's High does not say how or when the system is injected, but it states it is an electronic dopamine signal that allows the wearer to fully enjoy the race. And the previously mentioned red nanosuit, the Racer's High, does not say anything about quote-unquote enjoyment or dopamine. It only states the malicious code boosts the wearer's speed. Because of the choice of language included in the Speeder's High description of enjoyment and dopamine, words affiliated with pleasure, I believe something other than a simple boost in speed is at work with the Speed Star system. I believe the Andro 8's human wearing the nanosuit only gets their high if they move at fast speeds. And the high their wearer gets is not a burst in speed like the Red Racer's High nanosuit. Remember, with the Speeder's High, the high is a release of dopamine which then allows them to more fully enjoy their race. Being that this is part of Galaxy Alan's Exotic Sense collection, and by simply looking at the sex appeal that is oozing from this outfit, we don't have to think too hard to imagine what the quote-unquote race might be referring to. Moving fast in the bedroom is most likely the way in which the Andro Eidos individual wearing this nanosuit achieves the electrical release of dopamine injected into their body frame. I mean, simply by looking at this outfit, we don't really have to guess where an Andro Eidos would have worn it. While both suits have tremendous sex appeal, the Red Racer's high could have been something worn outside of the bedroom, while the Golden Speeder's high could have been a nanosuit worn inside the bedroom with the lights dimmed low. This is simply my interpretation of these two suits, and if this were their original intention, then the existence of these nanosuits is something that Galaxy Alan deserves high praise for. Truly S tier for creating such stimulating nanosuits. Alright guys, that's it for this one. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this top 10 secrets of the nanosuits list, or of course anything else Stellar Blade related. I'll jump down into the comments to keep up the discussion with you all there. See you on the next one, and may your memories live on forever.